These are pieces of artwork. These artisans train years and years to make one of these bags.
Fabrice is doing the last stitching on a Kelly bag. A Kelly takes around 13 hours to be made, depending on the materials that we make it. Our artisans, they need to do 4 years of training to be able to manufacture a Kelly bag.
Hermès says, made in China, does it feel cheaper? No, that's not a quality issue. It's luxury brand washing.
Hermès, you guys, it's time to show off your factories. No, I don't want to wait to go on YouTube and watch a beautiful documentary on show them off right here on TikTok. Let the world see. Okay, get like China. You gotta be ghetto about it. Just let people know.
When you hear the name Hermès, what comes to mind? Maybe it's a quiet Parisian atelier, nestled in the countryside. White-coated artisans bent over buttery soft leather, hand-stitching under warm candlelight. Every cut precise, every thread perfect. A slow, almost sacred ritual, passed down through generations. That's the story Hermès has sold us for decades. A fantasy so powerful it's allowed them to charge $20,000, $30,000, even $50,000 for a single bag. But what if I told you that behind that polished French image lies a very different truth? One that doesn't unfold in France at all, but in vast factories across China, where dozens of these handcrafted treasures are produced at speeds no Parisian craftsman could match. And here's the shocking part. These aren't knockoffs. These are real Hermès bags, destined for the same boutiques, sold to the same elite clientele. Stay with me, because once you see how deep this story goes, you may never look at luxury the same way again.
It starts with 30 distinct cuts of leather and can take 20 hours to complete, 4 hours for just the handle. Put the finishing touches on a Kelly, the most difficult bag to build. Artisans rely on their training and muscle memory to make every bag.
This is why this bag from our factory only costs you 1,000 USD.
Have y'all seen that TikTok by the Chinese guy exposing how luxury goods are actually made? The only real difference? China ships the products to Europe, slaps on a made in France or made in Italy label, and boom, luxury? It's ridiculous.
Now here's where things really start to get interesting. Those Hermès bags, the ones we picture being lovingly stitched by master artisans in France, many of them are actually made in China. And I don't just mean the materials. I mean the entire process, cutting, shaping, sewing, all happening inside massive Chinese factories. The hands crafting that $20,000 Birkin? Chances are they've never even set foot in France. Sure, maybe a button is fastened or a stamp is pressed in Europe, just enough to legally qualify for that coveted Made in France label. But the truth is, the bag's journey, the labor, the craftsmanship, the soul of it, starts and ends far from Paris.
This Himalaya legging from boutique cost you $66,000. But do you know what the real cost from our factory? Let me show you the numbers. First, the leather. This Himalaya footband leather is supplied by the company HCP from front. And one piece of this Himalaya leather costs 1,300. One for the front, one for the back, and another one on the two sides. So 3 pieces is 3,900. Interior lining is imported lambskin, and the cost is about $200. Also, exactly the same thread. 25. The hardware is set with diamonds, $700. Coating oil. The cost is $30, and the zipper $350. And at last, so the cost for this 30-year experienced artisan's labor and skills is $700. Same material from the same supplier for those boutique bags by our factory is $6,000.
As you can imagine, Hermès didn't take this exposure lying down. The moment whispers from the factories began leaking out, Hermès launched a full-scale legal offensive. Lawsuits were filed against the Chinese manufacturers, alleging violations of trade secrets, breach of contract, and, perhaps most critically, tarnishing the brand's carefully curated image. But let's be honest, this wasn't just about intellectual property. It was about control. Control of the narrative. Control of perception. Hermès understood that once the truth started spreading, on TikTok, on Instagram, across the entire internet, no legal team in the world could contain it, and no amount of silence could undo what had already been seen.
It requires a lot of skill to turn it and get it on the right way.
Il y a des bouchées, des bacs plus 4, 5, 6, on en a. Hein.
de l'entrée où on me donne des morceaux de cuir jusqu'au moment où je vais avoir livré ma pièce. Je veux pas qu'on reproduise un geste de façon indéfinie en se disant bon bah je fais toujours ce même geste et donc, je pense qu'on est vraiment là pour apprendre un métier et pas des tâches.
In the wake of the backlash, Hermès acted swiftly to regain control. They rolled out polished marketing videos, beautifully shot inside idyllic French workshops. Artisans in crisp white coats were shown stitching leather, polishing hardware, working under soft golden lighting. The message was clear. See, your bag is still handmade in France. Just like we've always said, but viewers weren't convinced. They noticed something subtle, but telling. The videos only showed the finishing touches. A few stitches here, a logo stamp there. Nowhere was the full production process, and for many, that raised even more questions than it answered.
Got a lot of requests, do Hermès next, and that's why we're here in the Highland Park Mall.
Italy, made in China, or maybe made in Chile. Oh yeah, that should be a thing, by the way. I have spent over $100,000 of my own money dissecting luxury bags, cutting them open, analyzing every stitch, every layer. Why? Because I had to know what made those bags so expensive.
Meet the man shaking the luxury world to its core. Tanner Leatherstein, a true leather expert, not just someone who talks about quality, but someone who puts it to the test. Tanner did the unthinkable. He took what many consider the holy grail of handbags, a Hermès bag, and cut it open piece by piece. And to be clear, he bought the bag with his own money. No sponsors, no agenda, just one burning question. Why are these bags so expensive? What he found inside? It wasn't the flawless artisanal craftsmanship Hermès promises. Far from it. Tanner discovered signs of machine stitching, shortcuts that completely undermine the brand's handmade narrative. Even more revealing, some of the interior materials, the hidden parts you never see, were noticeably lower quality than the luxurious standards Hermès markets so proudly. Imagine spending tens of thousands of dollars, only to find mass-manufactured components hiding beneath the surface. Tanner didn't just reveal a few imperfections, he pulled back the curtain on an illusion. And once you've seen what's inside, you can't unsee it. The real question is, if Tanner could uncover all this with one bag, how long have they been getting away with it? Stay with me, because it only gets wilder from here.
My point is, I think it's crazy how designer brands have been selling things for thousands when China sell them on and literally they're so cheap. If the Chinese manufacturers are making the same, like the actual Birkins, and then they are also selling these on the side as well, technically this is an absolute fucking bargain because it's the exact same material as a Birkin.
For years, Hermès wasn't just a luxury brand. It was a status symbol. Owning a Birkin or a Kelly wasn't about fashion. It was about access, belonging, being part of an elite, almost mythic club. Prices soared, demand exploded, and on the resale market, some bags fetched double their retail value, but not anymore. In the wake of these revelations, resale prices have plummeted by more than 20%, a staggering fall in a market once believed to be bulletproof. Collectors who once swore by Hermès are now furious. Imagine investing $30,000 into what you believed was a generational heirloom, only to discover it might not even be what it claimed to be. Their anger isn't just financial. It's emotional. It's personal. Hermès didn't just sell bags. They sold trust. They promised exclusivity, authenticity, prestige. And now, for many, it all feels like smoke and mirrors. But the fallout doesn't stop with Hermès. This scandal has cracked open a larger question. How much of the luxury industry is built on illusion? If even Hermès, the gold standard, can be exposed, who's next? Gucci? Louis Vuitton? Chanel? The trust that once upheld these billion-dollar empires is beginning to crumble, and once it does, there may be no going back.